The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise now has a total of 11 different games that create a deep and complex story, and most recently, Fnaf Help Wanted 2 was released less than a week ago, and although it's only been out for a short period of time, this game holds so much depth, lore, story, and mysteries. But one of the biggest mysteries that comes from not just this game but from the entire franchise is, where does Fnaf go from here? There are many theories about the next Fnaf game that include an origin game that takes place in the 1970s and even a carnival themed game that has been massively hinted at. So in this video I'm going to go over these two theories and give my own thoughts on a possible future Fnaf game. Starting with the origin game, or what some people have begun calling Fnaf Zero, this game would take place in the 1980s and would take place in the Fredbear family diner pizzeria. We've only seen this location in the Fnaf 4 minigame, so having a game take place here is possible. But why do people believe this is the direction that Studio is headed in? Well, the evidence actually starts back in Fnaf Security Breach. Throughout the game, these three posters can be unlocked and they're advertising the Fredbear family diner location. We see Fredbear and Spring Bonnie promoting drinks and food in two of the posters, and the other is Fredbear with the phone number to the location. It's hard to believe that the game developers would add these posters as just an Easter egg, and many fans think there has to be more to them. There's even more evidence that comes from Ruin, and it's actually in one of the endings. In the very last section of the game where the mimic chases you, you have to listen to Gregory's directions to escape. But if you ignore them and go to the left instead of the right, you'll find a cardboard cutout of Fredbear. You then have the option of using the vending mask, which then unlocks a secret ending. Again, the fact that Fredbear unlocks this ending has to mean something, as he was specifically chosen, and again, maybe this is hinting at an origin game. The game developers themselves have also stated they are interested in making a Fredbear game, but here are my thoughts on this theory. I don't think we're gonna get a Fnaf Zero game that takes place in the 1980s where we might have played as a young William Afton. I just don't see the need for it, since the Afton era has mainly been solved, and this game wouldn't help solve any major questions from the newer games. Instead, what I think is more likely is that we would play in a Fredbear location, but in a virtual sense like Help Wanted and Ruin does with the Vanny mask. This way we would experience something new, but it would still have the opportunity to answer questions from the past games using a new mechanic. But again, this is all just speculation. Moving on to the next theory, which is a carnival themed game, and most of the evidence comes from Fnaf Ruin and in out-of-bound areas. In an alternate ending map in one of the rooms, this leftover message for developers can be found. J-Top is referring to the co-founder of Studio Studios, and it's obvious that this message is hinting towards some future carnival project. Now, the word game is never specifically said, and this could be referring to anything, but more evidence comes from the room the mimic is in when he's revealed in the ending. When going out of bounds, you can actually find multiple mascots that include an elephant and lion. Both are notorious carnival animals, and the elephant is even wearing a clown costume. And this could also be foreshadowing a carnival project, and in another secret ending, the mimic wears the same lion costume. Or it could be the opposite, as instead the foreshadowing carnival message could have been referring to the mimic mascot building up his reveal. But in Help Wanted 2, one of the mini games takes place in a carnival where you have to pop balloons or hit targets. So it might have just been that the message was referring to Fnaf Help Wanted 2, but there's one more piece of evidence in favor of the carnival themed game, and it's this image found in the game files. We've actually seen the same Fall Fest in the Dreadbird DLC from the first game, but this time the date is 1983 instead of 1970, so maybe this poster is referring to a future Fnaf game. But this poster actually leads me to my theory and thoughts, which is actually a combination of both of these theories, being that not only will the next Fnaf game be a carnival theme, but it will also feature Fredbear and Spring Bonnie as the main animatronics. Let me explain. Like I mentioned, the main piece of evidence is actually this simple poster. The festival is obviously referring to a carnival, and the date is when Fredbear's family diner is theorized to first open, again combining these two ideas. So what if there is a carnival side to Fazbear's entertainment that hasn't been revealed in the franchise yet? We know that it's happened for decades now, as the same festival takes place in the Fnaf Dreadbird DLC but in 1983. And I don't even think it's that hard to believe when there are pizzerias like Circus Baby's World or Chica's Party World that we've never actually seen before and that we know no information about. This would even line up with MatPat's timeline, where he theorizes that Willie Mafton loved the circus and the dancing bear as a child, so why wouldn't he make a circus part of his franchise? Like I've gone over in this video, there's plenty of evidence supporting Fredbear and carnival themed ideas, so why not combine both of them into one game? This way we get to experience fighting off the earliest animatronics of the franchise in a completely new environment like a carnival. Now, although I greatly believe in this theory, it would be very difficult to include the Mimic or Glitchtrap, who both have unsolved and unfinished stories from the end of Help Wanted 2, especially since it's being theorized that this game takes place before Fnaf Ruin, meaning that the Mimic is still out there and Gregory and Vanessa are still trying to stop it. There are just too many unsolved mysteries from these newer games, so I don't think this game will actually take place in the 1970s. Instead, I still think it would be something virtual like in Help Wanted 2, and maybe it's even using the same Vanny network. The player could possibly be entering this reality to learn more about the Mimic, since we know it's a very old animatronic predating the newer pizzerias. So the future FNAF game would feature Fredbear and Spring Bonnie as the main animatronics, and you have to fight them off in a carnival-like environment, all while trying to learn more about the Mimic to finally stop it. But this is just all theory. All of these pieces of evidence can be taken in many ways, and it might be that the future FNAF game is something completely different than any of these theories are suggesting. But what I do hope is that the game will not take place in the security breach location, since 3 different FNAF projects have now taken place there. I just think something new like a carnival would be a great idea to expand the FNAF franchise. But what do you guys think will be the next FNAF game? And with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. By no means was this last section of the video my theory alone, as I've used evidence and reasoning gathered by the community to make what I think is a reasonable theory. But what do you guys think of these theories, and do you have one of your own? Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thanks for watching.